The house was never silent, yet it always felt hollow. Every morning began the same way, waking beside a man who had become more like a shadow than a partner. There was no warmth, no tenderness, only the heavy presence of years gone by. Conversations had thinned down to mere exchanges about bills, dinner, or weather. What was once love had faded into a distant, nearly forgotten echo. In the beginning, she had tried to keep their connection alive through affection. Late-night talks, even vulnerable attempts at intimacy. But all her efforts were met with indifference. He was always somewhere else, lost in his thoughts, work, money, or maybe just a weary kind of detachment. Eventually, she stopped asking for more. She already knew the answer. Loneliness doesn't always wear the face of tears or dramatic sorrow. Sometimes it drifts in quietly, taking up space between silent dinners and words left unspoken. She told herself this was normal, that love fades and comfort should be enough. But even comfort had turned cold. Then, the donkey came. Her husband brought it home as just another addition to their small farm. "It'll help with the load," he had said, his voice void of emotion. At first, she barely noticed it. Just another animal. But something in the donkey's eyes stopped her, a quiet softness, a calm presence. It didn't demand anything. And more importantly, it didn't ignore her. She began spending more time by its pen. Lingering touches while brushing its fur turned into soft-spoken words, things she hadn't said aloud in years. "Good morning," she'd say, and it would flick its ears, as if acknowledging her. She spoke of her emptiness, of her fading sense of worth, of what it meant to no longer feel loved. Each morning, before her husband awoke, she would sneak away to press her forehead against the donkey's warm body. There, in that quiet corner of the world, she felt something, peace, maybe even connection. The donkey had become her refuge. She stopped questioning it. She just knew it was the only place where she still felt alive. Her husband either didn't notice or didn't care. The distance between them had grown into a chasm too wide to cross. And so she stopped trying. Her bond with the donkey deepened. What started as comfort grew into something unspoken and dangerously intimate. She would run her hands along its back, let her fingers rest on its warmth, grounding herself in its presence. She whispered confessions she couldn't even admit to herself, how she no longer loved the man she had once vowed herself to, how she had long since stopped hoping things would change. She found herself drawn to the donkey even when she wasn't near it. Longing, absurd as it was, had rooted itself in her chest, and she stopped resisting it. Why should she? The donkey was everything her husband wasn't: present, silent, accepting. And then one night, unable to sleep beneath the crushing silence of their home, she slipped outside. The donkey stood there, as if waiting. She approached, trembling, pressed her hand against its fur, and breathed. She should have walked away, but she didn't. For the first time in years, she didn't feel alone. It became routine. Her affection deepened into something that defied explanation. She told herself it was love, or at least, something like it. The lines between right and wrong blurred. She was too tired to care anymore, but the world had started to notice. People looked at her differently. Whispers followed her in town. Her husband's questions began again, subtle, tinged with something sharper. "Where have you been?" he asked once. She lied, of course, but the way he looked at her said he already knew. And then came the night she couldn't hide anymore. She went to the donkey as usual, but this time, she let go completely. Whispered intimate words meant for a lover. Touched it with the desperation of someone trying to feel alive again. She didn't hear her husband's footsteps until it was too late. He stood there, silent, watching. He didn't yell. He didn't speak. He simply turned and walked away, leaving her alone with the weight of what she had become. The house grew colder after that. He stopped speaking. He moved like a ghost, carrying a silence that said more than words ever could. She didn't try to fix it. What was there to say? There was no apology big enough to undo what she had done. The town's whispers grew louder. She could feel them in every glance, hear them in every pause. She no longer cared, but he did. She saw it in his slumped shoulders, in the way he avoided people, in the way he avoided her. Finally, one evening, he asked the question she had no answer for. "What do you want from me?" She couldn't lie, not again. She hadn't meant for this to happen, but it had. She had wanted something more, and the donkey, somehow, had given it to her. The next morning, he was gone. No words, no fight, just absence. She sat in the quiet he left behind, wondering if anyone had ever truly seen her. The donkey hadn't changed. It stood there, Exactly, as it always had, unashamed, steady, and she envied it for that.